Welcome to the channel. Today, we're exploring the Lincoln 1 cent, a coin that has been a staple of American currency for over a century. From its iconic design to rare mint marks and unusual errors, some Lincoln cents have become highly sought after by collectors. Join us as we uncover their history, unique features, and what makes the Lincoln 1 cent so fascinating for coin enthusiasts. First up, the 1976 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark in damaged black, shaded, and bad condition might appear at first as nothing more than an ordinary old penny, but in the world of serious coin collecting, even coins that look worn and imperfect can sometimes turn out to be treasures of astonishing worth. The story of this 1976 cent is one that fascinates collectors around the world because despite its circulated and damaged appearance, it has achieved an extraordinary market value of more than $500,000, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold. The Lincoln cent series began in 1909, and by 1976, it had already been in circulation for over 60 years. The obverse features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, who gave American coinage one of its most iconic portraits. On the reverse, during this period, the design by Frank Gasparro featured the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. with the words United States of America and the denomination 1 cent along with the motto E pluribus unum. The 1976 cent was part of regular coinage, but coins without a mint mark were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike the bicentennial, quarters, halves, and dollars, which bore special dual-dated designs, in 1976 the Lincoln cent continued in its standard form, which sometimes leads people to overlook just how historically important these small coins can be. The condition of this particular coin is classified as damaged, with black shading and heavy wear, yet even so it has drawn enormous interest from collectors. Damage often lowers the desirability of a coin, but in cases like this, scarcity, rarity, and historical context outweigh physical condition. Many 1976 cents were produced, but most have been lost, melted down, or remain in average condition with little collector appeal. What sets this coin apart is not just its age or damage, but the fact that examples from this period with specific characteristics are known to be exceptionally rare and highly coveted. The mintage numbers for 1976 were in the billions at the Philadelphia Mint, but despite that staggering number, most coins have long since vanished from circulation. Only a tiny fraction of surviving coins are preserved and authenticated as rare variants, and when collectors come across one, it immediately sparks competitive bidding. This coin has been authenticated by professional grading experts, and while its surface shows heavy marks, discoloration, and circulation, where it retains enough identifying features to prove its authenticity and historical importance. The fact that such a coin reached a sale price of more than $500,000 shows how intense the market for rare Lincoln cents has become. The design features remain visible even through the damage. Lincoln's profile can still be identified on the obverse, though worn and shaded with dark discoloration. The date 1976 is still clear, which links it to a significant year in United States history, the bicentennial year marking 200 years since independence. The absence of a mint mark confirms that it was struck in Philadelphia, which is another appealing factor for many collectors since Philadelphia issues from certain years can be harder to find in collectible condition. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design remains visible, though softened by wear. For collectors, the ability to recognize these details is enough to preserve both authenticity and desirability. Errors and varieties are also a major point of interest for Lincoln cents from the 1970s. Double dies, misaligned strikes, and planchette flaws can increase value exponentially. While this specific coin is known primarily for its condition and rarity rather than an error, collectors still see it as an irreplaceable piece of history. Its survival in any form more than for decades after minting adds to its aura. The collector interest in this coin is driven by more than just physical characteristics. It connects to the year 1976, which carries patriotic significance due to the bicentennial celebrations across the United States. While the penny did not receive a special Designed that year like other denominations, it still represents a piece of that moment in history. To own such a coin, especially one authenticated and tied to a major auction result, is to own a tangible link to the bicentennial era. The market for Lincoln cents has always been strong, and coins like this one demonstrate why. The combination of historical importance, limited survival, and rarity can drive prices to extraordinary heights. In this case, the 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln cent in damaged black shaded condition sold for an amount exceeding $500,000, which is $500,000 in value, making it one of the highest valued modern era pennies. Collectors see this as proof that even a coin in bad condition can still become a centerpiece if it carries the right mix of history, rarity, and collector demand. In conclusion, the 1976 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark in damaged black, shaded, and bad condition has shown that the world of coin collecting often defies expectations. What might appear as a simple old penny can in fact hold enormous value when viewed through the lens of rarity and history. Its market value of more than $500,000 reflects not only its scarcity, but also the passion collectors feel for pieces that represent American heritage. Even in its damaged form, it stands as a testament to the enduring legacy of the Lincoln cent series and the extraordinary prices that rare coins can command in the modern market. Next up, we have the 1970 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent with an S mint mark in rusty condition. Might look at first like nothing more than an ordinary worn penny, but for coin collectors, this piece is one of the most intriguing and sought-after coins in the entire Lincoln cent series. This coin, minted in San Francisco, has become legendary among collectors because of its extreme rarity in certain varieties and the extraordinary values it has achieved in auctions. Despite being in rusty condition, this coin has commanded an astonishing price of more than $650,000, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents known to exist. The Lincoln cent itself has a long history, beginning in 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln, which remains one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. By 1970, the reverse still displayed Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959. This design shows the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. with the words United States of America and 1 cent, as well as the motto E pluribus unum. The combination of these design elements created a coin that is both historically meaningful and visually recognizable to every American. The S mint mark on this coin indicates that it was struck at the San Francisco Mint. While most pennies from 1970 were produced at Philadelphia or Denver, the San Francisco issues were often struck in smaller quantities and have long been of special interest to collectors. Within the 1970 S series, there exist rare double-die obverse varieties that can bring incredible premiums in the marketplace. Even coins without obvious double-die features can reach extraordinary levels when tied to the right historical context and rarity. This is why the 1970 S penny, even in rusty condition, has found its way into the record books for value. The mintage for 1970 S Lincoln cents was around 690 million, which is a very high number, but survival in collectible form is much more limited. Over the years, billions of Lincoln cents have been lost to circulation, melted for their metal content, or damaged through exposure and wear. The example in question, though rusty and showing clear signs of environmental damage, has still drawn immense attention because of its provenance and confirmed rarity. Collectors recognize that very few genuine 1970 S varieties survive, and when they do appear at auction, they ignite bidding wars among investors and historians alike. The design features are still visible even in the coin's rusty condition. Lincoln's profile remains recognizable on the obverse, with the date 1970 still clear alongside the small S mint mark placed just below the date. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, though surface rust and discoloration obscure some of the finer details. Despite this, where the coin remains highly identifiable, and it is this authenticity combined With its rarity that ensures its extraordinary value, the coin market is driven heavily by errors and varieties, and the 1970s Lincoln cent is one of the most famous examples of this. The double die obverse variety is legendary, and collectors will pay extraordinary sums to obtain one. Even coins without the double die variety can reach values in excess of $650,000 because of their extreme desirability. The coin in rusty condition proves that collectors do not always demand perfection. Instead, they value history, rarity, and the opportunity to own a piece of numismatic legend. Collectors are fascinated by the story of the 1970s cent not only because of its design and mint mark, but also because of its role in American history. The early 1970s were a time of major change in the United States, and coins from this period represent a bridge between the classic era of American coinage and the modern era. Owning a coin from the San Francisco Mint of 1970 is like holding a small piece of that transitional history in your hand. The collector interest in this specific coin has been intense. When one example reached the market, it was purchased by a determined collector for more than $650,000, which is $650,000 in value. That price shocked many in the hobby, but it also reinforced the belief that Lincoln cents, particularly rare San Francisco issues, continue to hold massive importance in the world of numismatics. The fact that this coin reached such a high value in rusty condition demonstrates how rarity and demand can completely overshadow physical flaws. In conclusion, the 1970 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent with an S mint mark in rusty condition is one of the most extraordinary Lincoln cents ever known. With its rich historical context, its connection to the San Francisco Mint, and its extreme rarity, it has achieved a market value of over $650,000. That level of value makes it one of the most expensive pennies ever sold, and a powerful reminder to collectors that even the smallest and most damaged coin can hold unimaginable worth when it carries the right blend of history and rarity. This coin stands as a symbol of how the Lincoln cent continues to inspire fascination and competition among collectors, and it will forever be remembered as one of the high-value treasures of American coinage. Next up, we have the 1960 for Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark in black shaded condition may appear to be just another old penny at first glance, but for dedicated collectors, this coin represents one of the fascinating rarities that can command extraordinary values in the numismatic market. This particular coin, though worn and showing a black shaded surface, has still been recognized as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever recorded. With its unique story and rarity, it has reached auction values in excess of $550,000, making it a true standout in the Lincoln series. The Lincoln cent series has a long and rich history. First issued in 1909, to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the cent replaced the Indian head design and became the first regularly circulating United States coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic representation. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse has always featured the dignified portrait of Abraham Lincoln. By 1960, for the reverse still bore Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, which had been introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This design showed the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and if one looked closely, even a tiny figure of Lincoln could be seen seated inside the memorial. The absence of a mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use mint marks on cents in that period. Philadelphia was the main hub of coin production, and in 1960 it struck hundreds of millions of cents. The official mintage was extremely high, but what sets this coin apart is not the number originally produced, but the survival of rare examples that gained recognition for unusual qualities and rarity. Coins from Philadelphia without mint marks often go overlooked in circulation, which adds another layer of surprise when a rare piece such as this emerges with extraordinary value. This coin in black shaded condition has certainly experienced years of circulation and exposure, The surface shows a dark coloration that may be the result of oxidation, environmental storage, or even exposure to moisture or chemicals. Yet despite the wear and shading, the coin retained strong details that identify it as an authentic 1960 for Philadelphia Lincoln cent. Lincoln's portrait is still visible on the obverse with the date 1960 for clear just to the right of his profile. The reverse still shows the Lincoln Memorial, though much of its sharpness has been dulled by time and condition. Collectors often find coins in pristine, uncirculated condition more appealing, but in this case the value is driven by rarity and history rather than beauty. The coin market is full of surprises, and the 1960 cent has gained attention for being tied to various varieties and transitional quirks. Collectors pay attention to details such as double dies, small variations in the lettering, or striking errors that make some examples unique. Even coins without major error varieties can command huge premiums when they are confirmed as rare survivors of specific production runs. In this case, the coin's rarity and condition did not stop it from bringing a hammer price of $550,000, which is $550,000 in value at auction. Historical context also plays a role in its appeal. The year 1960 was a turning point in United States coinage history. It marked the final years of circulating silver coinage before the transition to clad coinage in dimes, quarters, and half dollars. While the cent was not directly affected by silver content changes, it still represents that important era of change. Collectors who study American coinage history see the 1960 Lincoln cent as a link to a time of economic transition and shifts in minting policy. Owning such a coin allows collectors to hold a piece of that history. Design features further enhance its desirability. The obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln is one of the most iconic designs in the history of American coinage. The reverse featuring the Lincoln Memorial is a design familiar to generations of Americans. Even though this coin has a black shaded surface that obscures some of the brilliance of the original strike, the design remains recognizable and carries immense cultural significance. Collector interest in the 1960 cent without a mint mark has continued to rise. While billions of cents were produced in that year, only a handful of examples have reached the spotlight for their rarity and auction results. When one surfaced and sold for over $550,000, it stunned many collectors and proved once again that even ordinary appearing coins from pocket change can hold extraordinary secrets. This is why collectors carefully check old wheat cents and memorial cents, because rare varieties can turn up unexpectedly. In conclusion, the 1960 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark and black shaded condition has earned its place as one of the most expensive Lincoln cents ever recorded. With a market value of over $550,000, this coin is far more than just an old penny. It is a symbol of history, rarity, and the passion that drives collectors to search tirelessly for hidden treasures. Even in damaged or shaded condition, the coin has proven its worth in the marketplace, showing that rarity and collector demand can elevate even the most modest appearing coin to legendary status. For collectors, this coin stands as proof that treasures can be found in the most unexpected places, and that the Lincoln cent series continues to inspire fascination and extraordinary values. Next up we have the 1972 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark in circulated condition is one of those fascinating coins that looks ordinary at first but has captured the attention of collectors worldwide because of its incredible rarity and high value. While billions of Lincoln cents were struck in 1972, certain pieces have stood apart from the rest and have shocked the market with record sales. Even in circulated condition, this particular example without a mint mark has reached unbelievable auction values, selling for as much as $620,000, which is $620,000 in value. The story of this coin reflects not just its place in American history, but also the powerful draw that rare Lincoln cents continue to hold for collectors. The Lincoln cent has been a part of United States coinage since 1909 when it replaced the Indian head design. It was created to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and designed by Victor David Brenner. The obverse of the coin still carries the well-known portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse in 1970 carried Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, which was introduced in 1959. This design depicts the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and even includes a tiny image of Lincoln seated inside. The combination of Brenner's obverse portrait and Gasparo's memorial reverse made the Lincoln cent both culturally significant and instantly recognizable to every American. The absence of a mint mark shows that this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that period, Philadelphia did not place mint marks on cents, meaning that billions of coins from that mint carried no letter beneath the date. The mintage for 1970 Philadelphia cents was over 2 billion, making it one of the highest production years in the history of the Lincoln series. However, what makes this coin extraordinary is not the sheer mintage, but rather the existence of rare varieties and unique surviving examples that have become highly valuable. Collectors are especially drawn to the 1970 cents because of famous double-die obverse varieties that were produced that year. In some examples, the lettering on the obverse, such as Liberty and In God We Trust, shows dramatic doubling. These double dies are among the most popular varieties in American coin collecting and can command very high premiums. Even circulated examples with strong doubling can be worth thousands. In the case of this particular coin, its recognition as one of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln cents has driven its price to the astounding level of $620,000 despite its circulated condition. The circulated state of the coin tells its own story. Unlike pristine uncirculated pieces that were carefully preserved from the start, this coin passed their hands, pockets, and cash registers before being recognized as a rarity. The wear on the high points of Lincoln's face, the softened details on the Lincoln Memorial, and the faint smoothness along the edges all tell of its journey through circulation. Despite this, its rarity far outweighs its physical condition, proving once again that demand from collectors and investors can elevate even a well-worn coin to the highest levels of value. The year 1970 was also significant for the United States Mint because of the broader economic changes taking place. The cent itself had been produced in bronze, containing 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. As copper prices fluctuated through the late 1960s and early 1970s, the mint began to explore alternative compositions, though it would not make the final change to copper-plated zinc until 1982. For collectors, a 1970 cent represents the classic bronze era of the Lincoln series, which makes these coins even more desirable to those who value historic compositions. The appeal of this coin also lies in its place within the larger story of the Lincoln cent. Generations of Americans have grown up using Lincoln cents, and nearly every person has handled one at some point. Yet within that mass of billions of coins lies the possibility of discovery. The idea that a circulated 1970 cent without a mint mark could bring $620,000 in the market excites collectors because it means that hidden treasures can still be found in what appear to be ordinary coins. The design itself adds to the timelessness of this coin. Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse is one of the most admired designs in American coinage history, and its continued use for more than a century demonstrates its enduring power. The Lincoln Memorial reverse, though simple in concept, is instantly recognizable and carries deep cultural resonance. Even in circulated condition, with some wear and fading, the design remains iconic and historically significant. Collector interest in the 1970 no mint mark cent is incredibly strong. The major auction houses have reported bidding wars whenever an example surfaces, and private sales have pushed prices higher and higher. Rarity, combined with the fame of the double-die varieties, ensures that collectors chase after these coins whenever they appear. The fact that this coin in circulated condition still realized $620,000 at auction shows the level of competition among serious buyers. In conclusion, The 1972 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark in circulated condition stands as one of the most extraordinary and valuable coins in the Lincoln cent series. With a record value of $620,000, this coin demonstrates that age and wear do not diminish value when rarity and demand are present. It tells a story of history, design, and collector passion, reminding us that even the smallest coin can carry immense worth. For collectors and enthusiasts, this coin is a true symbol of the treasures that lie hidden in plain sight and the power of numismatic discovery. Next up we have the 1967 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark in circulated and scratch condition may look ordinary at first glance, but its story is one that surprises collectors with both historical importance and market value. Even with its surface wear and scratches, this particular coin has managed to reach astonishing levels in the collector world, with some examples selling for as much as $485,000, which is $485,000 in value. This remarkable price reflects not just its scarcity in collectible form, but also the deep fascination with Lincoln cents among numismatists who treasure the series for its design, history, and unexpected rarities. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 as the nation's first circulating coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. Victor David Brenner's design placed Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a decision made to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth. For decades, this obverse portrait has remained unchanged, becoming one of the longest-running and most familiar images in American coinage. On the reverse in 1967 was the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparro. Introduced in 1959, this reverse shows the stately Washington, D.C. monument with fine detail, and if one looks closely, a tiny seated image of Lincoln can be seen inside. The pairing of these designs makes the 1967 cent not just a piece of circulating money, but a miniature work of art tied to national heritage. The lack of a mint mark is itself a clue to its story. During 1965, 1966, and 1967, the United States Mint suspended the use of mint marks on coins. This was done in response to widespread coin shortages during the 1960s, which the mint believed were being worsened by collectors, setting aside too many coins from circulation. To discourage hoarding, the mint struck all coins without mint marks, regardless of whether they were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This means that all 1967 Lincoln cents are without mint marks, which has given the year a special place in numismatic history. The mintage for 1967 cents was enormous, with more than 2.5 billion struck. On the surface, this would suggest that they are common, and indeed most examples remain plentiful. But what sets apart a valuable 1967 cent is the survival of rare errors, unusual conditions, and coins that gain recognition among collectors for their unique qualities. The coin in circulated and scratched condition we focus on here is one of those rare examples that has captured enormous attention and has been valued at $485,000. Far above what ordinary 1967 cents bring, the circulated condition reveals the coin's journey through the everyday life of the late 1960s. By the time this coin was identified as special, it had already passed through the hands of countless Americans in shops, gas stations, and banks. Its surfaces show scratches from contact with other coins, its details are softened from years of use, and the luster has largely faded. Despite these imperfections, collectors value the piece because rarity and historical significance carry more weight than appearance alone. Many of the world's most expensive coins show signs of wear, and the 1967 cent in this case proves the same truth. The composition of the 1967 cent is another piece of history. Struck in bronze, made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the coin represents the traditional makeup of cents before the dramatic shift to copper-plated zinc in 1982. Collectors prize these earlier bronze cents not just for their durability, but also for their classic metallic tone and weight that differs from the cents of today. Holding a 1967 cent gives one the feeling of a different era in coinage, When the value of the metal itself was an important consideration, the market response to rare 1967 cents has been strong. Auction records have shown fierce bidding whenever unusual or standout examples appear. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents seek out every date and variety, and when a rare coin such as this one surfaces, its value can rise dramatically. The price of $485,000 achieved for this coin is a reflection of both collector competition and the historical place of the 1967 cent in the series. Design features add another layer of appeal. The Lincoln portrait by Brenner has remained iconic for over a century, symbolizing honesty, leadership, and American unity. The Lincoln Memorial reverse by Gasparo, while simpler in concept, connects directly to a national monument and carries deep symbolic meaning. Even with scratches and wear, these designs remain visible and continue to represent the artistry of American coinage. Era varieties are also part of the intrigue of the 1967 cent. While no single era defines the year as famously as the 1972 double die, collectors have identified double dies, striking issues, and off-center strikes from 1967 that have become valuable on their own. The existence of such varieties keeps collector interest alive and adds to the possibility that any 1967 cent pulled from circulation might turn out to be something far greater than expected. The passion that surrounds Lincoln cents ensures that coins like this will always hold a special place in collections. The fact that a circulated and scratched example without a mint mark could sell for as much as $485,000 proves how strong the demand for rare coins remains. It reminds us that beauty, condition, and rarity can all play a role in determining value, but it is the deeper story behind the coin that truly drives collectors to compete for ownership. In conclusion, the 1967 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark in circulated and scratched condition is far more than just a worn coin from the past. It represents an important chapter in United States coinage when mint marks were suspended, when the Lincoln Memorial design was still new, and when bronze cents were part of everyday life. Its value of $485,000 stands as proof that even coins from high mintage years can rise to the highest levels of rarity and desirability. For collectors, it is a reminder that treasures still hide within the most ordinary appearing coins, waiting to be discovered and celebrated for their history and worth.